Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome back to the Trevor Bauer Show. Today's episode is brought to you by Momentum, your premier destination for player-driven MLB content. Momentum exists to connect fans and players on a human level, and they do that by providing unparalleled, behind-the-scenes access to the best personalities across the league. I'm in the clubhouse every single day, and it's a quirky, entertaining, hilarious, and very bright place to be, with tons of personalities. You deserve to see that side of your favorite players too. So if you haven't already, do yourself a favor, head on over to youtube.com, search Momentum, and hit that subscribe button. Stop missing out on all of the fun. Join the Momentum family today. And with that, we're going to jump right into some baseball updates because, good Lord, it feels like it's been forever since we've talked. So much has happened in the last 7 days. We're going to get to some of the good stuff, some of the heavy stuff, but first, the first thing I got to talk about is the Cardinals. All right? I mean, the Cardinals have not played now in 14 days. So over the course of 66 days of a season, we got 60 games in 66 days, 14 days. I mean, that's 20% of the season right there. A little more than 20% of the season, actually. And I want to know how they're going to make those games up. I want to know if we're even going to play the Cardinals. Because we have a series with them coming up. Is it going to be postponed too? I have no idea. I want to know what the heck's going to happen. Are they going to go based on winning percentage? Are they going to make them play double headers to try to make all these games up? Is that fair to the other teams that are now going to have to play double headers because their opponent was canceled or couldn't play or whatever, and now they're going to have to burn their bullpen and all that? I don't know. I want to know what's going to happen on that. But it's been 14 days since they played a baseball game. How do pitchers stay ready? They're going to play at some point. They're going to have another game. So who's going to start that game? Is a pitcher that hasn't pitched in 2 weeks going to be able to go out there and throw 6 innings, 100 pitches? You're going to send him out there for 2 or 3? Then the bullpen guys who haven't been able to play catch, I don't know what they've been able to do. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're going and they're at the alternate site and they're able to practice and they're able to. I don't know. I really honestly have no idea what the situation is. But it's going to throw a huge monkey wrench in everything. And it's getting to be about that time. I mean, 14 days, that's about 2 weeks. Usually that's the quarantine period. So I guess we're going to get our answer here sometime soon, but I want to know what's going to go on there. Like, I have no idea. There's so many problems. The starting pitchers, like now the hitters haven't faced pitching in 2 weeks. You know, are they going to go up there and swing and be able to hit without, throws them off their rhythm? Are they gonna get an extra people in the bullpen to be able to cover all these innings? Because if they're playing double headers and they haven't played in 2 weeks, then you're covering 14 innings a day with starters that can't go very long because they've been out for so long. So there's a lot of problems. I don't know what's going to happen, and then who knows what this is going to do to the playoff picture. I mean, are some teams going to play 57 games, and some teams going to play 46 games, and some teams going to play 60 games, and some teams 54 games, and then we're just going to make up some rule in the middle of the season to figure that out? I don't know. But that's a tough scene. Like MLB's got a serious problem on their hands from a player safety standpoint, not just from COVID, but coming back and being injured on the field. I mean, you don't pitch for 14 days. You go out there, you try to pitch a big league ball game, like shoulder, elbow, like groin. I mean, we've seen a rash of injuries already this year with people that have pitched consistently, just had a shorter summer camps, shorter spring training. So I don't know. It's getting down to crunch time. I want to see how they're going to handle that. I have no idea how they're actually going to do that. So yeah, that brings me to my second point, which is, the dangers of having a COVID outbreak with the team, and that calls into question kind of what's been going on with the Clevinger and the Plesac story, and that's something that's brand new. And I'm friends with both of those guys. I don't know all the details. I know a lot of people in that clubhouse, obviously. I haven't talked to a whole lot of them because they got enough going on right now. I haven't wanted to reach out and said, hey, give me all the insight. Like, it's not my place. We'll talk about it eventually, and I'll get more of the details and understand what's going on and all that. But I just know what's been made public. And so it's hard for me to have an opinion. It's hard for me to express my opinion because before I express my opinions, I like to have a good grasp of both sides of the argument. I like to be able to look at things and say, okay, this happened, but this is why, and this person used this reasoning, but I disagree with that reasoning, but I agree with this, and I like to form my own opinion about things, right? I don't have all the information. I just know what's been made public, so I haven't commented on it yet. I don't really want to comment on it too much, other than to say, in situations like these, there's a couple things you have to keep in mind. And let's talk about the situation now, after this all comes out, before we talk about the decision that they made to go out or whatever ended up happening. In situations like these, the public needs to keep in mind that people are human, all right? People make mistakes. Everyone's made a mistake. Everyone's been selfish at times. Everyone's been altruistic at times. We've all put other people before ourselves for a long period of time, and we've all put ourselves before other people for a long period of time. So athletes are athletes, and we're, I guess, celebrities in a way, and we're in the public eye, and we're here to entertain and all that, but we are people at the end of the day. And people have emotions, they have families, they have feelings about things, they have opinions, they make mistakes, they do things great, a whole host of things. So it's important for the public to understand that, get both sides of the story as much as you can, make your own opinion about it. Don't just listen to the media, because the media is there to generate clicks, to generate reads, to generate eyeballs on their content, draw traffic, stuff like that. That's their job. That's how those companies make money, right? They need eyeballs, and so it frustrates me so much. The thing that sells most is controversy, right? So the more clickbaity you can make the headline, the more inflammatory you can make your headline, the more people you can draw in to read, the more quotes you can get from this person or that person, the more eyeballs it generates, and that's good for them. That's good for their site. So a lot of that's going on right now, I'm sure. It always does. Cleveland media specifically, I've never been part of New York media or Boston media or whatever, but Cleveland media is kind of fickle. They build some people up and they love them, and it just doesn't matter what that person does, they can do no wrong. And then they tear other people down, and it doesn't matter what that person does, they can do no right. It's very polarizing. There's very few people in Cleveland sports that are just kind of unknowns. It's like you're either hated or you're loved. And it's a very passionate fan base, and that's how the fans, a lot of them feel, that's how they operate. But that's certainly how the media there operates, and I know that firsthand. So that's going on, and the public needs to realize that that's what's going on here. Not saying that the media is lying or anything like that, but there is a slant to drawing more eyeballs and getting more people to read their story or watch their video. So that's definitely something that's going on. And the next thing we have to touch on is, the decision itself. And I'm not going to touch on this too much because I don't know what the decision was. I'm just going to share some behind the scenes information with you guys about what it's like on the road. Right now, I'm sitting in my apartment in Cincinnati. If I decide to walk downstairs and I'm hungry, and I decide at, let's see, what time is it right now? It's 12:40 in the morning, all right? If I decide to walk downstairs and go get some food from a grocery store, or maybe there's a restaurant that's still open, a late night taco spot, or I don't know. If I'm hungry and I decide to go out and get some food, there's no one standing down in my apartment lobby reporting me to MLB. It's not even illegal or it's not against the rules for me to go out and get food right now because we're at home. But when we're on the road, we can't go out and leave. We're not supposed to leave the hotel. We have people 24/7 MLB monitors in the lobby watching if players are leaving or what they're doing or whatever, stuff like that. So it seems a little bit, to me, it's like the rule has to be consistent. I don't think COVID is more contagious on the road than it is at home. So that's an inconsistency with the rule. So then on the road, you get food at the ballpark, and that's how it's all been happening. Normally there's food at the ballpark, but if you don't like what's there, you can go find a restaurant, you can go out to eat, there's things you can do, you can get room service. We're not supposed to order room service. In fact, a lot of the room service is even shut down at the hotels that we stay at. And so we're left with getting the food at the field, but you can't even control your portion sizes at the field. Normally they put out a bunch of food and you can scoop a bunch into your box or on your plate, or if you're not too hungry, you get a little less. If you're more than hungry, you get a lot, and so you can control your portion size. That's not how it is right now. And in fact, a lot of times, if you're the last person out of the clubhouse for whatever reason, maybe you started that night and you're doing your recovery and you're the last person out, half the food is, maybe you have 2 or 3 options for food and it's all in prepackaged little containers. Half of it's gone. And sometimes there's not really that much food and the portion sizes aren't that big and you get hungry. Maybe the game ends at 7 o'clock at night, is a 4:10 game, and then you get your dinner at, let's say, 7:30, but by 11:30 you're hungry again and you don't normally go to bed till 2 because that's season schedule. So there's a lot of things that could potentially explain the decision to leave the hotel and to go get food. Now, if that's the decision, is I'm hungry, I'm going to go get food, does it change the argument a little bit? So let's say that a player leaves the hotel to go get food and then brings the food back to the hotel and they're back before curfew. Is that as much of a discussion as it is right now? Probably not. It probably never even gets reported. Okay, so that person was then in contact with everybody at the restaurant in a certain way, that whoever they went to the restaurant to pick up the food with, they're in contact with, and whoever hands them their food at the restaurant, whoever they're ordering from, they're in contact with those people. So then you choose, if you choose to stay at the restaurant, if you choose to go do something else afterwards, there's a lot of things that go into that decision. Obviously, you have to think about the people that are around you. There's no question. Regardless of your feelings on COVID and the regulations and if they're stupid, if they're smart, if you're scared of it, if you're not scared of it, if it's whatever, you have to think about the people around you and how they perceive the disease and the pandemic. I might not be scared of it, but the person sitting next to me in the locker room might be terrified of it. And so as a team chemistry thing goes, you have to respect the person next to you and the people around you and how they feel about it, especially when you have people that are of higher risk, which Cleveland has a couple of those people in the clubhouse. And I think we all kind of understand that. So there's a lot that goes into that decision. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to voice too much of an opinion on whether, Clev and Plesac were wrong to go out, whether they were right to go out, whether it's, anything like that, because I don't know the information. But the whole point of this, to talk about it, is there may be something else going on behind the scenes that the public doesn't know, that I don't know right now, that can explain a little bit of why that decision was made. And maybe there's not. Maybe it is exactly what's in the public and they messed up. Maybe that's the case. But I think it's a little bit foolish to judge a situation when you don't know all the details. And I don't know the details, so I'm not going to pass any more judgment on the situation until a time when I understand fully what happened. The last thing that I'll say on this is there are CDC guidelines, there are MLB rules, and then there are team rules. And those three don't always match up. Some of them are more lax, some of them are more strict. But when you're operating in a scenario like this, you have to keep all of them in mind because they're all relevant to a player. Your team rules are relevant to the culture in the clubhouse. They're relevant to your teammates, how they perceive you, and the product that you're able to put out on the field and winning games. The MLB rules, obviously, that's relevant to everybody in the league, not just your own teammates, because as we see with the Cardinals, if there happens to be an outbreak, then it affects everybody. It affects their team, but also who they're playing, and it affects the league and all that stuff. And that's kind of why I started with the Cardinals. And the third thing you have to do is the CDC guidelines are there, and that's a federal. It's a federal thing. It's a national. Everybody has to is asked to abide by those. So there's multiple different sets of rules that have to be taken into account here, and that's all I have. That's all I have to say on that. That's my take on that front. Moving right along, kind of in the same vein of not opining on something before you know fully what's going on. A lot of people have been asking me, there's this video floating around about Garrett Cole and his fingers sticking to his hat. And I've been quoted about saying some stuff in regards to that for many years now. It's pretty obvious what's going on. People told me that it could be a whole host of things. I think, someone said, some wise ass on Twitter said, whoa, what if there's this thing where people who'd been around the game a long time taught people who hadn't been around the game a long time, how to get better. Imagine the possibilities for year-over-year improvement. We could call it coaching. So to that dumbass who said that, what's the coaching teaching you? How to put pine tar on your hat? How to put foreign substance on your hat? Like, when you're right, you're right. All right? I mean, and I didn't speak about that without knowing. Like, I know what's going on. Everyone knows what's going on. And my whole point on this foreign substance thing, just to reiterate, the whole time my point has been just legalize it. You have to legalize it because there's no way to actually enforce. You wouldn't have any pitchers left in the league. There'd be 15%, 20% of the pitchers left pitching if you enforced it on a game-to-game basis. So if you're not going to enforce it, and it's very clear that they're not, and they have no interest in actually enforcing it, then you got to legalize it. Because technically, it's cheating. It's technically cheating. But you're not going to enforce it. So, why would you put a player in a position where he has to make the decision between this? Don't cheat and cost himself millions of dollars and cost his team wins, because all the stats show that if you use it, you're a more effective pitcher. That's just what it shows. And the stats are undeniable. So when you say that it's illegal, you're asking a pitcher to believe in a rule and to abide by a rule that you don't care about enforcing as a league, and cost himself performance, which costs his team and his teammates and his organization wins, and it costs him performance, which costs him millions of dollars. So you're asking him to choose between that out of deference for a rule that you have no interest in enforcing, or you're asking him to choose to cheat. You got to enforce it. It's the same exact thing they did with steroids. They knew steroids were going along. They knew steroids were going on. They didn't want it to become a public issue. As soon as it became a public issue and these lists leaked and the Balco thing and the biogenesis thing and the blah, blah, all this different stuff, then they had to do something about it. So they scrambled from a PR standpoint. They tried to put in some rules. They blackballed people. They this, that, and the other. And it's like, man, if you just would have cared about it in the first place and enforced it when you knew it was going on behind closed doors, there's an integrity issue there. If you know something's going on, and I know for a fact, an absolute fact, they know it's going on. I've sat with people in the commissioner's office in New York. I've sat with the commissioner himself. I've had these discussions for 3 years. I know for a fact they know what's going on. Either enforce it or legalize it. You got to choose one. You can't sit here and you can't do both. But that's my take on that one. When you're right, you're right. Let's see. And then that leads me into the Astros thing. And the Astros were involved in a brawl recently. I guess you could call it a brawl. So let's break this down a little bit. You got, 5 A's players hit in a game. Laureano gets hit twice. He gets plunked in the back. I thought this was the best move. It was the trolliest move. I loved what he did. He's like, okay, I got hit. Doesn't feel great. I'm not too happy about it. But hey, pitcher on the mound, you're releasing it out here. You're back here. You got to get out in front with it. It's going straight. I thought that was so good. Man, you hit me and you suck so much, and I'm going to give you advice on how to do your job better, so you can try to get me out next time. Golly, it was so great. In the moment, it was just the perfect. I was cracking up laughing. I absolutely loved it. That was hilarious. And then gets to first base. There's some arguing with the coach. There's some back and forth, and then it all went downhill from there. So let's break that down a little bit. You got the coach arguing from the dugout. I mean, he's threatening. He's takes a couple steps. He's yelling at Laureano. Laureano's yelling back at him. The coach takes a couple steps and invites him over and says, if you want to go, you come on over. Laureano says, okay, and goes over to the dugout. And then immediately the coach is covered up by 3 or 4 players or other people. And he just sits in the background doing nothing. I'm like, come on, bro. If you're going to sit there and antagonize a player, first off, it is not your job to antagonize a player on the other team as a coach. It is your job to coach your players and to stand up for your players, but it's not your job to antagonize the other team. So that's the first place he went wrong. Then he just looks like a massive softie. I mean, he just looks so bad. Like, you want to fight? You want to fight? Come fight then. Let's go. Takes a step. As soon as he starts coming over, backs up and is like hiding behind like four players or whatever happens. So like, that was soft as hell. So that was just a terrible look for him. And then Laureano goes over there. Now, if we learned anything from Amir Garrett, like you go over, you got to, I mean, you better be getting something off. I mean, you better go in hot. You're never going to go over and get to the one guy that you want to get to. I mean, especially in this case where the coach is diving in the background and slinking back and whatever. I don't know. So if you're going to go over there, you got to get something off, man. I mean, an elbow, a punch, you got to tackle someone. I mean, like if you're that mad to go over there, like get something off. I thought it just, it went downhill. He goes over there, he tries to duck around someone to get through like 5 or 6 players and to like get to the coach, and then gets tackled and laid on. And so now we got this big brouhaha. We got catchers shoving each other. We got a face mask being ripped off. We got people talking and this whole big massive thing. And like all the while, it's exactly what we didn't want going on, or MLB didn't want going on, because now you have the government sitting there looking at MLB and there's people in contact with no masks, and this, regardless of the fact that we're tested every 2 days, it doesn't set a very good example. And then all of a sudden, MLB is going to be in trouble with the government because we're setting a bad example for the message they're trying to convey to the nation. And then there's going to be more pressure to shut the season down and this and that and the other. So like in this season, those actions affect everybody in the league. So once again, Astros up to hijinks that are going to make it worse for everybody else in the league. So I thought the initial part of it, I thought the telling him how to throw the pitch was brilliant. Thought I went downhill from there. Suspensions came out. The coach, Centrone, 20 games. I think that's fair. I don't know. I'm not one to hand out suspensions, so my opinion really doesn't matter on this. But I mean, if you're gonna sit there and it just was such a bad look, antagonizing Laureano and like inviting him to fight and all this different stuff. I don't know. Get out, man. We can't have that, especially this season. Now, there's something to be said for standing up for your players. I 100% respect that. I also don't know exactly what was being said in the history. I didn't see it. I wasn't there. I didn't know what was being said that entire series. So perhaps there's an explanation for it. I'm open to the fact that there could be an explanation for it. And so I'm not forming a true opinion on Centrone himself as a person, and I'm not forming an opinion on Laureano as a person or anyone else involved, because I don't know what was going on and I haven't heard their sides of the story. But I can look at a situation and talk about what I think of what transpired. 20 games, I think, is fair. I mean, and it's unprecedented times. I think that's a fairly unprecedented suspension, but I think that's fair. And Laureano getting 6 games, I think, 6 games. Amir Garrett last year got 8, I believe. I think he got 8. For going over and swinging and starting that whole brawl. Laureano, no punches were really thrown, so potentially could get less than that. So, I think that there's a precedent for that. I think that's somewhat in the right realm. I think that's somewhat fair. So overall, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the suspension's way off. I honestly haven't taken a ton of time to really think about that portion of it, because it just doesn't matter to me really at all. It's like it doesn't affect what I'm trying to do with this year's Reds team and trying to win and all that stuff. So those are the baseball updates I got for you. A lot of stuff has happened, man. Maybe I'll start doing these little updates more frequently, because talking about stuff that happened a week ago in baseball and all of a sudden there's like 5 more current big stories. Like, pretty crazy how fast this stuff moves. But anyway, that brings me to the product of the week. The product of the week is called a chili pad, and it's something that I use at home. It's a mattress topper, so you put it on your bed, and it's got water runs through this mattress topper, okay? And there's a little block that you set underneath your bed and a hose that attaches, and so you can set this thing to whatever temperature, and it'll either heat the water or cool the water, and it runs it through the bed, and so you can kind of control how hot or cold your bed is while you sleep. And it is great. On the road, sometimes hotel air conditioner, can't get the room cool enough. You struggle, you're like tossing and turning because it's hot at night. I've been parts of, some hotels in Minnesota in the middle of the summer, air conditioner doesn't work. Hotel room's like 76 degrees and it's humid at night. And God, it's tough to sleep. So Chili Pad is the product of the week. I got back home from the road trip and was just reminded of the fact that I love that thing. It helps me sleep really well. They're not paying me to say any of this. It's just I had an epiphany like 2 or 3 nights ago when we got back from the from the road trip, and I slept on it the first night. I was like, man, it's so nice to have this thing where I can control the environment that I'm in. So that's the Chili Pad. Great product that I've been using and reminded of why I use it on a nightly basis. And let's see. That brings me to some life updates on what I got going on. I don't have a whole lot going on this week in life. Most of it's just been baseball. I've been at the field a lot. Morgan Blank is in town. She's my head of marketing. She handles all that stuff for me, from lining up content on social media to handling editing to endorsement deals, everything off the field. Basically, she's involved and she does a great job. So she's in town right now, talking to some people with the Reds and lining up some different memorabilia deals that I'm doing and all that. But we are talking tonight about some viral opportunities for tomorrow that I'm super excited about. Man, God, if everything comes together, we're scrambling a little bit to make it happen in time. But if everything comes together, it is going to be so fun. I'm so excited for it. We got a whole. It's just I'm not going to reveal any of it because you guys will just have to wait and see till tomorrow. You can wait 24 hours to see the fun unfold. But I'm really excited about it. We got some trolling in there. We got some viral, some things that are going to go viral in there, which is one of my favorite things to try to do out on a start day. We got some, it's just, I'm so excited about it. So we spent probably like 20, 30 minutes tonight going over all the different details of it and how we're going to execute it. Morgan's great with that stuff. So that's been going on. We were just in Milwaukee, and every time I go to Milwaukee, I'm just reminded of how beautiful it is. I took a day in the morning to walk down to the lake and just walk along that area and check it out. It's really, just really fun. It was beautiful weather. Sunny, and I know it's harsh in the winters and stuff, but good Lord, during baseball season, just a really beautiful place to be. I love it. The river walk there, really cool. I'm a big fan of taking road trips there and playing in Milwaukee. So I think we go back there. One more time this year. So I'm looking forward to that. And we had our first off day of the year. We had an off day Monday. I didn't do anything. I didn't do squat. I slept in. I did my Normatec like I'm doing right now for 3 separate times during the day. Did some work, filmed some content, caught up on some emails, had some conversations, just general stuff. Got Chipotle on the off day. But man, it was nice. Normally I don't do anything on off days anyway. I'm not a big I'm going to go golf 18 holes and I'm going to go on the boat and then I'm going to do this. I like, my off days during the year. I'm either at the field playing catch or I'm just hanging out, taking a low key day. So that's what I did on Monday. We got another one coming up on Monday. That'll be fun. Get some time to catch up on some more content and get ahead of things a little bit. Also check in with all my employees and see how everything's going. But those are the life updates right now anyway. Looking for a place for next spring training. A little bit hard right now to find a place for spring training because I don't know where I'm going to be for spring training. I'm a free agent after this year, so I have no idea how that's going to transpire. It's my first time going through it, so we'll see what happens with that. But that's really all I got on the life updates. And that brings me to my rant of the week, which is going to be a good one because it involves the cheating Astros. This year, we are not allowed to watch video in between innings, okay? And the reasoning behind this supposedly is COVID related. So we're allowed to be in the dugout. We're allowed to be on the field. We're allowed to be in the locker room together. We're allowed to take showers together. We're allowed to be in the training room together. We're allowed to ride buses together and be on planes together. But apparently, we're not allowed to congregate in the video room to watch video in between innings. And they expect me to believe that that's COVID related? I don't think so, dude. Whoever's trying to sell that ain't it. That's some BS. So, what do I mean by watch video? Well, after the first inning, a lot of times I like to come in and look at some video of how the first inning went. I like to look at my mechanics and see if I'm doing anything wrong. Can I do that this year? Nope, sure can't, because I can't go look at video. Sometimes I like to watch the hitter reactions and be like, okay, I probably missed some things. You know, I do my breaking point series, and I always see things on film that I can't catch live because you can stare at the hitter while the pitch is going. You don't have to be throwing the pitch. So you can face the guy the first time and you can be like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing. I see his swing and this is what I think he's looking for and whatever. And I can go back out there and I can be, prepared better for the second time I face him. So I go in after every inning and I look at video of like, okay, the 3 or 4 guys I'm going to face this next inning, what did I do to him last time? How did I get to this point? What pitches did I throw him? What happened? Did I miss my location the guy to hit? Did I hit my location? I like to look at that stuff. Do I ever look at the catcher's signs? No. I use it for legal purposes just to be better at my job. Can I do that this year? No. Because, we don't, because we spent too much damn time as a league trying to figure out how the heck to get back on the field or how to delay long enough so that we could only play 60 games so that we could pay the players as little as possible so that we could get expanded postseason and make as much money. That's what we spent our time figuring out, not what the rules were going to be when we got back to playing. So now, instead of doing the easy thing, and cutting off the catcher's signs and still allowing people to look at video, now just players can't look at video. And then they try to blame it on COVID because we can't gather in the video room where there's 3 people, maybe. There's a starting pitcher and maybe one other person plus the 2 video guys, 4 people maybe. But in the dugout, you got 30 people. In the shower, you got 5, 10 people at a time. On the bus, you got 30 people on a damn bus. And we're supposed to expect or supposed to believe that this is COVID related. It's not COVID related, it's Astro related. They don't want people picking signs and looking at the catcher's signs in between innings. So once again, the Astros cheat, they don't get punished and everybody else gets punished. Imagine that. It's bullshit. And I'm not just the only one that feels like this, all right? I've talked to many players around the league that feel like this. I get texts all the time from people. Oh, and then another thing, I almost forgot because I was so frustrated by that. We're not even allowed to watch the game in the clubhouse anymore. We can't even have, normally you have the TV on in the clubhouse. So if I go up to get treatment during the game, if I'm supposed to get a massage during the game, I'm supposed to do Normatec during the game, I'm supposed to get, do my post-throwing work during the game, because a lot of times you get done throwing and then you're supposed to do recovery work, but you can't do it because people who are playing the game that day are in there getting stuff for pregame. So he's okay, come up in the second inning and we'll do all your recovery then. Now I can't even watch the game on the clubhouse TV because we can't watch the game in the clubhouse. We can't watch it on live. We can't watch it on a 15-second delay. The only way we can watch the game is from a high home area where we can see all the little people. It's we're sitting in the top of the upper deck and looking down, and we can't see what pitch was thrown. We can't see if it was a ball or strike. We can't watch the hitter. We can't see anything. We just see little ants running around on the field. We're in Detroit, and the MLB guy decides to come through and say that we can't watch anything. So he turns off all our TVs. And I was like, this is BS. I'm supposed to start the next game. This is for the doubleheader that was a while back. I just didn't even think about it until now. I'm supposed to start the next game. How am I supposed to not know what's going on in the game? I can't watch what's going on in the game. How are the trainers that aren't supposed to use walkie-talkies to communicate with from the trainer in the dugout to the trainer up in the training room supposed to know if a player gets injured so that the head trainer can run down to the field and try to help the player if he can't watch the game? Well, Detroit didn't have a high home camera set up, so they just turned all of our TVs off because they didn't. And so now, this is BS. This is just absolute BS. This is what's going on, though, because the Astros cheated, and now MLB is terrified of the public perception of having, video, people being able to watch video during games, because now apparently all analytics and all video are bad, not just, the decisions of the people who used it to cheat being bad. So not everybody else gets punished because people decided to abuse technology and cheat. So they cheated the league out of a World Series, and then they cheated the league out of being able to use video that people used for very, very valid reasons. Rant done. Still frustrated about it, but good grief, MLB and the Astros. What a joke. But that brings me to one of my favorite segments, which is Week Tweets, where I read the weakest of the week tweets that I received this week. And there was an inordinate amount of weak tweets this week. So we're just going to roll through them. I'll keep it short because there's 9 of them. Starting off, We got an Instagram message on here first, and it says, "As does the poor baby need his bottle. Damn, an athlete just can't get a break. Welcome to the real world. Things aren't perfect. I don't know. Lots of cuss words. So first off, if you're going to send like a thing of like, oh, like I'm crying, if you're going to send a troll message like, oh, I'm crying, you might want to say, aw, like AW, instead of as. Like your first word of this message just invalidates the rest of it because you're an idiot. Clearly, you can't spell. So we're just going to move on from that one because that dude's just an idiot. The next one is, all you do is complain. Your team sucks too, by the way. One, all I do is complain is just wrong. I share my opinion. For sure, if you think my opinion is complaining, you could just not be on my Twitter. You could just unfollow me. You could even mute me. You could even block me. There's those things. There's now even conversation things where like you don't have to see anything that I put on there. So if all I do is complain and you don't like that, see ya. Just leave. Because this is my Twitter, so I'm going to share my opinion on things that I think are important because this is my Twitter. And your team sucks too, by the way. Like, that's just a complete non sequitur. Like, if you're going to talk about my team sucking, then let's just talk about the team sucking, which is not true, obviously. We don't suck. We're not playing greatest baseball right now. We will. We're going to be good. We are good. So but we could argue that. We got an 8-11 record or whatever. So if you want to say the team sucks and that's your opinion, that's fine. But keep the whole troll tweet about the team sucking. And if you're going to attack me for complaining, for sharing my opinion, just keep all of it the same. But you can't just flip-flop like that. Like, you don't have a good argument here. You complain and your team sucks. Okay? What? Next one. Seriously, guy? That's all you've done your whole career is cry, whine, and publicly throw fits. Fire alarm's going off.
There has been a fire emergency reported in the building. You are to leave the building by the nearest exit or exit stairway.
Yikes. I hope this is not an actual fire emergency. I'm on the 10th floor, so I hope I can get down. Big yikes. 10 stairways down, here we go. Hope I'm not walking into a fire. Okay, we're on floor 7 now. I feel like I'm the only one doing this. Maybe everyone's asleep? Is it a false fire alarm? It's probably a false fire alarm. I don't smell fire. I hope the elevators are working when I get down here. Is this hot? No. Hot? Nope. Can't get in there, so back down we go. Maybe the person at the front desk has an idea what's going on. Does this building look like it's on fire to you? It doesn't look like it's on fire to me. Hot? Nope. Hot? Nope. Is this a fake fire alarm we got going on? In my apartment, the thing was like, leave the building immediately. There's a fire. I expected to see more people in the stairway, but there was no one there. Did you guys hear the fire alarm too? Yeah. I expected to see a bunch of people down here. Someone's here. All right, so we've been told to walk across the street. I see some more people down there. The building surely doesn't look very much on fire to me. I'm thinking this is a fake fire alarm, hopefully. Got police over there, fire truck right there. What fun at 1:17 a.m. Well, this has been a fun conclusion to the Trevor Bauer Show for this week. Not sure even what to say, but we're gonna skip the rest of the week tweets from this week because I'm now stuck outside of my apartment. And I don't know what's gonna happen, so I'm gonna call Agent Ray Chalupa and inform her of what's going on. And then, I don't know. I'm gonna vlog the rest of this for sure. This is for sure gonna be on the vlog. But that's all for today's Trevor Bauer Show. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, do that. That helps me out. In case all of my stuff burns, at least I'll have my subscribers on YouTube. And I'll see you guys in the next video, probably like tomorrow when I'm going viral all over the internet for being a fool. So catch you guys later.